to how this must be the lives of those without internet connections, without movement. But how different is this contrast?
Michelle, thank you very much for this opportunity. Indeed, the reality on the ground is very different. Kashmir is what we would classify as under a triple lockdown. The initial lockdown obviously started back in 1989 when the over 800,000 armed forces came in. But especially last 10 months, since the 5th of August, when the Indian government abrogated the Article 370 and then recently introduced the domicile law, Kashmir has been in lockdown since the 5th of August, so more than the 4 months. And this wasn't because of any COVID. It was purely to ensure that the people, the rights and the fundamentals of the people of Kashmir have been snatched away from them. Their internet, our communications have been blocked, our freedom to move, our freedom to preach our religion has been snatched away, and they've been taken off from us. In the last 10 months, Kashmir has been under a complete curfew with no economic trading at all. People have been imprisoned, tortured, and killed. And recently, after the COVID, there was another lockdown where the restrictions were further imposed, which hindered the humanitarian activities within the Kashmir. The humanitarian aid agency that used to work within Kashmir, providing food to the millions who were left without any economical activity, without any income for the last 10 months, were further hindered. And India made sure that none of these humanitarian agencies, including the local agency, I'm not just talking about the international agencies which have never been allowed by India to work in Kashmir, the local agencies were restricted to do any kind of an aid or provide any aid into do. Now, can you imagine, outside the world, we've been under the lockdown for the last 4 months, and already we have seen the signs of the economies of many countries crippling down. People are unable to meet their basic needs, even in the developed countries. I know personally in the United Kingdom, I work with many of the volunteer organizations here, thousands and thousands of families are suffering. Now, can you imagine people living in a occupied zone, which has been in the lockdown for the last 10 months?
Mr. Qureshi, you put out a couple of points here, and I'm going to get to those, but to that point of imagining how different the scenario in Kashmir is, while the world only gets to experience only a fraction of that kind of a lockdown. I want to take this question to Mr. Patrick Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, after the 5th of August, when India first revoked Kashmir's special status, there was a lot of outcry in the global community. But as the months passed and as the